All right, so we've got the Apple event coming up tomorrow where we're going to see new devices, new operating system, and of course, new accessories. There's going to be a lot for Apple to cover in this event because we've got to cover the iPhone, the iPad, AirPods, Apple TV, Apple Watch, Apple Vision Pro. And the only thing that we're not going to see is most likely anything from the Mac lineup. And what else? That's pretty much it. Like accessories like the Studio Display or the Pro Display XDR. I don't think we'll see any of that until we get into the October event next month. So the question I always ask with an Apple event is how is it going to impact video editors or content creators who make content around video editing? Content creators like me. Now, I released a video a few weeks ago talking about how I'm giving up hope for Final Cut Pro to do something significant to sort of catch up to what DaVinci Resolve and even Premiere Pro have been doing, especially with AI tools. I'm not going to be switching editing software. I'm still going to be using Final Cut Pro, but there's just something inside of me that's giving up this hope every few months of some big update coming out with Final Cut Pro that Apple is just going to deliver this earth-shattering, groundbreaking, revolutionary new set of features in Final Cut Pro that's going to put DaVinci Resolve and the other editing apps to shame. It's not going to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that with this Apple event coming up that there isn't going to be something related to Final Cut Pro coming out. I think what happens is Apple basically, as they get ready for these events, looks at what their software and other companies' software can do to best sell iPads and iPhones and other Apple devices. And if Blackmagic with DaVinci Resolve has an amazing feature update that outshines what Final Cut Pro can do or what Adobe Premiere Pro or After Effects or whatever can do, they're going to want to showcase that new feature or those new features because it will give them a better chance of selling iPads, iPhones, whatever device they want to sell. They're going to highlight the thing that is going to convert to sales or upgrades the most. And someone like me who's still running an iPhone 13 Pro Max has been holding out because nothing really compelling for me has made me want to update my iPhone 13 Pro Max, start having a monthly payment, all that kind of stuff again. So Apple really wants to play that smart. And it's possible that this year that they feature updates to Final Cut Pro for iPad or Final Cut Camera to show us cool new features that would incentivize us to update our software. Now, last year, we saw them introduce for Final Cut Pro for iPad and with the new iPhone, this live multicam feature, which I felt when I'm watching it, this is a really cool tool. Too bad not a lot of people really need or want to use it. Not on the same level as the types of artificial intelligence tools that we all are hoping for. Things like auto captioning, auto transcription, auto logging footage, things like that, that we would use every single day, day in and day out, that would give us this sort of quality of life improvement with video editing, auto podcast editing, or auto editing a multicam, cutting back and forth between angles using artificial intelligence to detect who's speaking and choose which angle best fits the edit at that point. I think that it's entirely possible that we see some cool updates to Final Cut Camera, that we really see some cool stuff to Final Cut Pro for iPad, and maybe how all of those integrate with each other. So that could be something that impacts video editors or content creators who talk about video editing and video production, but isn't the thing that makes us all go, holy cow, Apple has really delivered on a set of intensive, revolutionary updates to the Final Cut Pro ecosystem, and they just showed Blackmagic, Adobe, how it's done. I don't think we're even going to come close to seeing anything like that. And honestly, what I think is more likely is we won't see big featured updates to Final Cut Camera and Final Cut for iPad. I wouldn't be surprised if Blackmagic has something really cool planned and it coincides with the new iPad Pro and the new iPhone 17 Pro or Pro Max, and their app supports it. Maybe it's 8K video editing, maybe it's new artificial intelligence features, and the Apple chipsets on those devices are going to allow for those artificial intelligence features to be to be used really efficiently with low battery consumption, fast results, all that kind of stuff. That's more likely what I think is going to happen. I think this round we're probably going to see more on-screen demos in a sense of Blackmagic products and Adobe products rather than Apple products. Now, if there was going to be, I think, a demo of something cool with Final Cut Pro, I think maybe it would come in the form of like new display enhancements with the Apple Vision Pro. And I don't mean hardware display enhancements. I mean something that they've done to interface with Final Cut Pro with the Apple Vision Pro. And it could be something where you can now use it with your iPad Pro instead of a MacBook Pro. And you can have Final Cut for iPad running through the iPad to the Apple Vision Pro. Or some really cool enhancements to how many displays you can have up at one time on the Apple Vision Pro. And maybe it's possible that we do see a small hardware upgrade to the Apple Vision Pro. It's got, higher resolution OLED displays per eye, or there's a chip update that allows it to push higher resolutions, more clarity, all of that kind of stuff. That's really what I think we would be seeing with Final Cut Pro. Now, some of those feature updates might give us hints as to what could come in a Final Cut Pro 11.2 in October, because I do think with the Mac Pro having not been updated to the latest class of M chips, it is long overdue for an update. I think the Studio Display and the Pro Display XDR are long overdue for an update, and we might see something with the Mac Pro, those displays, and Final Cut Pro more likely in October. And because the Mac Pro needs to be updated, I wonder if Apple would favor Final Cut Pro on the Mac Pro being demonstrated to get people to buy the new Mac Pro rather than demonstrate it with the iPad or the iPhone to get them to update their iPhone or iPad. That's where my head's at. Now, I wouldn't be shocked if we saw a really cool demo of an awesome new feature in Final Cut for iPad. And even if that feature is awesome, is it something that makes people go, okay, that's it, I'm buying an iPad Pro now. It's a no-brainer, or I'm upgrading my old iPad Pro so I could take advantage of this Final Cut Pro feature because it's so awesome that I have to use it. And I imagine that did happen a little bit last year with the live multicam and the iPhone being able to sort of stream its video feed to the iPad and record a multicam directly into Final Cut Pro for iPad. I bet there were quite a few users that went, now that's something I would use regularly. But again, I think that's a niche demand. That's a niche need. The things that are really needed is day-to-day AI-based tools that can really superpower Final Cut Pro and take all of those tedious tasks and make them incredibly simple without stripping the artistry and craft out of those features. Now, some will argue that no matter what, any kind of AI feature, even if it's just doing the tedious things but not doing the art and craft, is taking away something from the craft of video editing and post-production. That's a discussion we can have in a separate video. The big thing with me when it comes to Final Cut Pro is I'm still having to use a lot of third-party apps to be able to do the things that I want to do natively in Final Cut Pro. I've been mastering my audio with this incredible software called Auphonic. It's AI-powered audio mastering, and I thought that my audio sounded good before I used Auphonic. It sounds incredible since using Auphonic. What you're hearing right now is audio that was mastered with Auphonic. I'll have a link to it down in the description if you want to check it out. And then something like Autopod. My friend Alex and I have a podcast, and we record it with 3 standard definition cameras, and without something like Autopod to automatically cut back and forth between those 3 multicam angles, it would be way too time consuming to do post-production on our podcast to make it worth our while. So Autopod does a great job when paired with DaVinci Resolve in auto editing a podcast. And I know DaVinci Resolve added that feature to one of their latest updates from earlier in the spring. We tried it, multiple episodes, and it just wasn't ready for prime time in our opinion. So we actually went back to paying for Autopod every month in order to get a better first edit of the podcast using that auto editing feature. And I'll put a link down to Autopod in the description if you want to check that out. So that's where my head's at with tomorrow's Apple event. I'm excited for it. I am looking forward to seeing what new stuff is going to come to the Apple Watch and the Vision Pro. But I will admit, I am more excited right now about older Apple tech like this iPhone 5S that I got at an estate sale, like the iPhone 3GS that I had restored at a local repair shop, like the Mac Pro G5 I just picked up on Facebook Marketplace for next to nothing. I'm excited about seeing what these old machines can do with older technology like VCRs and things like that, because there's just something fun about screwing around with this old tech and seeing what it can really do. I'm less inspired by my iPad Pro and an Apple Vision Pro and an iPhone 17 Pro Max and all that right now. But I'll be watching closely, and I'm curious in the comments what you think we might see for the Final Cut Pro app ecosystem tomorrow. Are we going to see something groundbreaking and revolutionary? Are we going to see anything about the Final Cut Pro ecosystem at all? So yeah, let me know your thoughts down in the comments and what you're thinking with regards to Final Cut Pro for iPad and Final Cut Camera specifically as it relates to all the rumors we've been hearing about Apple devices for this September iPhone event. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I need to cover. So I appreciate you listening to that sort of stream of consciousness. I did make some notes here, so I at least had some of my thoughts gathered for this, but I've been thinking about this for the last couple of weeks, and it just hasn't been that same intensity as I've had in the past. So again, let me know down in the comments what you think, and we will all, I'm sure, commiserate about the Apple event after we hear all the new stuff coming out tomorrow. Until then, I will talk to you all soon and hopefully make a video covering some of the news tomorrow in the next couple of days. So thanks for watching. Until the next one, I'll see you all soon. Don't forget, keep chopping that broccoli.